I just like two of my homeboys. That would be get back gang.
It looks like we might finally have the face behind the chaos EBG has been talking about, and the streets are going wild. Brand new footage just hit the internet, and fans are convinced T.I. was caught on camera taking out EBG E-Grizzle's close homie right after walking out of prison. Now, with E-Shizzle calling for revenge, it's starting to look like maybe T.I. was actually safer behind bars. Let's break it down, because this situation just turned Memphis upside down. A grainy 37-second clip, filmed in what looks like a dimly lit parking lot off Airways Boulevard, has exploded all over social media. The video allegedly shows Pooh Shiesty himself, fresh out of federal custody, firing at a car belonging to one of EBG Grizzle's right-hand men. Within hours, hashtags like RickshawFreeTI, SheGetBackGang, and Church Memphis Madness were trending worldwide. And with E-Dizzle already vowing payback, fans are asking the one question nobody wants to say out loud: did T.I. really come home just to catch another body? The footage is straight up chilling. A black Dodge Charger creeps up, voices start yelling, then 6 gun flashes light up the night. You can even see one man collapse by the hood as people scatter in panic. If this clip is legit, it means T.I.'s very first move after stepping out of prison was taking out one of EBG's soldiers, a move that could reignite Memphis in blood and chaos all over again. And here's where it gets even darker. According to Memphis insiders and social media pages like Rap Alert, the location in the viral clip lines up perfectly with an area EBG members are known to hang out in. You can even hear someone in the background shout, "EBG out here!" right before the gunfire erupts. Authentic or not, perception is everything. And in the streets, perception can kill faster than any bullet. The truth might still be unclear, but one thing's for sure. This video has blown up the internet and reignited one of Memphis's deadliest rivalries. Now remember, T.I. was just released earlier this month after serving a reduced federal sentence for conspiracy to possess firearms in furtherance of violent crimes. His early release shocked a lot of people. Some fans cheered his comeback, hoping he'd finally put the past behind him. But others warned that old demons were waiting just outside those prison gates. Even controversial commentator Charleston White himself predicted something bad might follow T.I.'s release. And from the looks of things now, he might have been right. In an interview a while back, someone actually predicted this exact kind of chaos. And now, it's starting to feel almost prophetic.
Now Pooh Shiesty.
That's my boy. Them Pooh Shiesty babies, now they gonna be something. We got to do something with them mother. I ain't bull. Them mother destroy America. They the grim.
T.I. was supposed to be rebuilding his life, reconnecting with Gucci Mane and the 1017 label, working on an album and even planning to drop a book alongside it. It was meant to be his comeback story, his redemption arc after years of federal time. But if this new footage turns out to be real, that comeback might have just turned into a countdown. What's undeniable right now is the tension gripping Memphis, a pressure cooker ready to blow. The city hasn't felt heat like this since Dolph's murder. Street corners that once blasted Shiesty's tracks have gone silent. Murals are being vandalized and whispers of retaliation are echoing everywhere. You can feel the fear in the air, like the calm before a storm. Because this isn't just a petty rap feud. It's personal, historic, and deeply layered. Before T.I. ever touched the Billboard charts, before Back in Blood became a national anthem, and long before Gucci Mane stamped him as one of 1017's rising stars, this rivalry had already drawn blood, literally. The beef between these camps didn't start in the studio. It started in the streets, with real lives and reputations on the line. To understand what's unfolding now, we gotta rewind, all the way back to the lick that started all this smoke.
Started from a birth.
According to EBG E-Dizzle's own account, the spark came from something small, a break-in. Someone hit a house and stole a few items, then tried to flex like they just pulled off some kind of legendary move. The problem? They didn't just commit a crime. They tried to turn it into clout.
Broke in the house and stole some, and really tried to put it like they extorted something, but they really did some junk. You know how they go. These doing what you supposed to do when you were 14, 15, breaking the house, busting windows at it.
In E-Dizzle's eyes, that was straight childish. The kind of juvenile stunt young cats pull when they're desperate for attention. He didn't see it as a real come-up or anything worth bragging about. It was a small-time hustle that should have stayed quiet. But once the other side, T.I.'s circle, started dropping bars about it, turning that petty lick into street mythology, everything shifted. What was once minor turned major overnight. And from that moment, the Memphis underworld started to boil, setting the stage for one of the deadliest feuds the city's seen in years. That's the moment when everything exploded, when the drama went way beyond basic street politics and turned into an all-out war for respect. Things got real after T.I. dropped his breakout collaboration with Lil Durk, Back in Blood. For most people, it was just another Memphis banger tearing up the charts, but for EBG Dizzle, it hit completely different. It was personal.
Yeah, you can tell I took it as a diss, but it just, the reason what made me respond because it was just false as hell. Like, it just was a whole bunch of make-believe and exaggerated situation. So that was just made me respond.
From E Shizzle's perspective, the track wasn't just music, it was disrespect on wax. He felt like Pooh Shiesty and his team were taking creative liberties with the truth, twisting real-life events, exaggerating stories, and building their whole reputation on fabrications. In his eyes, they weren't just capping. They were turning fiction into street gospel, rewriting the narrative in their favor while the city watched it all unfold. What really got under E Dizzle's skin wasn't only the lies, it was the glorification. He said these rappers were making dangerous situations sound glamorous, bragging about events that never went down the way they claimed. For a guy who'd lived through real violence, watching others profit off half-truths and make-believe drama was a slap in the face.
I was just like, man, yeah. I just hate capping that shit.
Then came the moment that pushed everything over the edge, when EBGE Grizzle himself got shot. That one incident flipped the whole Memphis rap scene upside down. Suddenly, the streets were on fire with speculation, theories, and non-stop rumors. Social media lit up overnight with conflicting reports. Nobody knew what was true and what was clickbait. Some said it was connected to the ongoing beef. Others claimed it came from a personal issue that had nothing to do with music. Either way, one thing was clear. This wasn't just about rap anymore. It was turning into something way more dangerous. The story behind E Dizzle's shooting wasn't what the internet made it out to be. The whole thing was actually rooted in domestic drama, not the ongoing feud with Pooh Shiesty. But that didn't stop people from connecting the dots anyway. Once the shots were fired, the rumor mill went into overdrive, twisting facts until fiction became reality online.
I guess the whole thing been into it with her nigga all day, with her boyfriend all day. So, bam, as I'm rolling up, he busts in the room and get the, like, he beating the shit, like, just beating. I'm like, damn, what the fuck I got going?
According to people close to the situation, E Shizzle had found himself in the middle of someone else's heated argument. A domestic dispute that had absolutely nothing to do with music or beef. He wasn't even trying to be part of it. He decided to walk away, trying to keep things cool and stay out of trouble. But that's when everything went left.
I'm getting my and leaving. So as I'm getting my and leaving, I guess he took that in his head that I'm finna kill him or pop him or shoot him about his female. So bam, as I'm walking to get my off the bed, he take off running out the room. When he take off running out the room, he shoot all through the walls and
Gunfire erupted as he was leaving, and chaos broke loose in seconds. Nobody knew who pulled the trigger first, but it was clear that E Dizzle got caught in something that was never supposed to involve him. And just like that, his name was back in headlines. This time for reasons that had nothing to do with rap.
So I just wasn't thinking too hard on it. Only thing that made me mad is like, when I wasn't even on the internet when I got shot, like, but soon I logged on, everybody like, go check Instagram. I see motherfuckers all on the ground, capping like shot at me, like just really just clout chasing type shit. So that was just made me realize that a lot of these being this for attention or for the.
But what really poured gasoline on the fire was the false information that followed. Social media pages and clout chasers started spreading all kinds of wild claims. Some said he was in critical condition. Others said he was paralyzed for life. People who had nothing to do with the situation were out here claiming credit for the shooting, using E Dizzle's pain to build their own street reputations.
Right, I believe Pooh Shiesty posted something like, damn, that pussy dissed and now he can't even walk.
Yeah.
You know, something like that.
Then came the claim that really broke everything wide open. The one that reignited the tension between EBG Grizzle and Pooh Shiesty's camp. According to E-Grizzle, T.I. himself had a hand in spreading the fake narrative that he was paralyzed, even though Shiesty had nothing to do with the actual shooting. That rumor hit hard. Not just because it wasn't true, but because it made the beef feel personal all over again.
Yeah, he ain't had to do with nothing. You know what I'm saying? He got a lot of, he ain't had nothing to do with nothing. But get back.
After that, things went from online shade to real-world consequences. Both camps started feeling the effects. Shows being cancelled, partnerships freezing, and street tension rising. For EBG E-Dizzle, beefing with someone as high-profile as T.I. wasn't just dangerous. It was bad for business. What started as music drama had officially turned into a chain reaction that neither side could stop.
I just feel like people scared to f with me because who I don't f with, you know what I'm saying?
The truth is, going head-to-head with a 1017 Records artist, backed by Atlantic Records and the weight of Gucci Mane's empire, came with some serious fallout. This wasn't just a street beef anymore. It was affecting E-Dizzle's whole career. Industry insiders even pointed out specific deals and features that got cancelled once word of the feud spread. Labels didn't want the drama, and certain artists didn't want to pick sides. So doors quietly started closing.
I think it was signing, it was a record label though that was finna sign me. Like we had met with each other, did a whole lot, did like going to studio sessions, all this. Then they hit my little brother, which my manager, they hit him up like they ain't want to lose their relationship with other artists, so they ain't want to f with me type shit.
When the label finally made its decision, it was clear, and it wasn't in E-Jizzle's favor. That cut deep. The beef wasn't just costing him opportunities, it was isolating him. He was getting boxed out of playlists, blacklisted from shows, and losing the momentum he'd built from the streets up. To E-Dizzle, this wasn't about music anymore. This was about respect, truth, and the code.
Like, it's like, I never did, but like, where we come from, like, this to the grave type, like, hell no, we don't forgive us.
He made it clear through interviews and posts that this situation couldn't be fixed with a handshake or a half-hearted apology. The disrespect ran too deep. Where he came from, certain things couldn't be forgiven or forgotten without something serious following it. Words alone couldn't undo what had already been said. Not in Memphis. Not in the life he was living. As the smoke settled from that first burglary incident, things took a darker turn. What followed wasn't just another round of rap drama, it was real-life violence, betrayals, and body counts. The beef spilled out of the booth and into the streets, dragging in crews, family members, and even fans who picked sides. By this point, Memphis wasn't just watching, it was bleeding. A new generation of rappers was trying to navigate a city that eats its own alive, where street codes matter more than contracts and revenge lasts longer than fame. To really understand how deep this feud runs, you have to look beyond the bars and into the criminal histories, court cases, and survival stories of both EBG E-Dizzle and T.I. These aren't just rappers. They're men who've lived the kind of lives that most people only write about. The line between persona and reality has completely blurred, and now the consequences are deadly real. EBG E-Dizzle's story in the streets didn't start when he became a rapper. It started way earlier. Long before most people even knew his name. His life was shaped by the streets of Memphis, and his connection to that world ran deep from childhood. His first serious run-in with the law came when he was barely a teenager, practically still a kid just trying to survive in a harsh environment that didn't forgive mistakes.
I think it was an attempted murder where they dropped it to assault. I had ended up getting two of one of my family members. Matter of fact, I got a two of one of my family members, and then it just went the wrong way, and I ended up catching a little attempted murder charge. I ain't just gonna speak on it because I fought with my uncle.
At only 13 years old, E-Gizzle was already staring down an attempted murder charge. a wild accusation that came from an altercation involving family members. It was a situation that spiraled out of control fast. Thankfully, the charge was eventually reduced to assault, but that early taste of the system left a scar that would never really fade. It was the beginning of a pattern, one that would keep pulling him deeper into a cycle of violence and survival that Memphis is infamous for. As he got older, things only got worse. By 16, E. Dizzle found himself back in front of a judge, this time for something much heavier. He was sentenced to juvenile life, which in Tennessee means being locked up until the age of 19 unless you earn an early release for good behavior. Imagine being a kid, watching your teenage years disappear behind bars while the world keeps moving without you. But what made that whole ordeal hit even harder wasn't just the sentence itself, it was who put him there.
Plus the my best friend at the time, he ended up snitching on me. Yeah, he ended up telling this.
Okay, so your best friend snitches on you during this case, and then it leads to you getting juvenile life?
Yeah.
The betrayal came from someone he considered family, a person he trusted completely. Finding out that someone you'd ride for could turn around and put you in that position left E. Dizzle cold-hearted and cautious. That moment reshaped him forever. It taught him that loyalty in the streets is fragile, and that even your closest ones can become your biggest enemies. From that day on, E. Dizzle moved differently, keeping his circle small and his guard high, because he learned early that in Memphis, trust can get you buried. Interview.
15 to 25 years. My first offer was 17 years.
Even though the physical evidence in that particular incident was thin, it painted part of a much bigger picture, one that was already starting to close in on T.I. The situation spiraled fast, and before long, the feds stepped in. What began as a local issue turned into a federal case that carried the kind of weight capable of ending both his career and his freedom permanently.
But I really knew I ain't even it was just, they were going out some he say, she say. You see what I'm saying? So they just going by what a would say. So somebody told them something, but when it was time to come to court and trial and shit, he didn't want to take the stand and testify.
The charges were no joke. The plea deal T.I. eventually accepted called for just over 8 years in federal prison, even though the judge technically had the power to hit him with up to 20 years behind bars. The specific charge: conspiracy to possess a firearm in furtherance of violent and drug trafficking crimes, a major federal offense that comes with mandatory minimums and leaves almost no room for error.
Shiesty was arrested for a shooting at King of Diamonds. Now he has been accused of shooting a security guard there. We don't know what happened, but they said a crowd jumped in trying to grab some loose cash because somebody knocked money out of his back pocket, and that's when reportedly they are saying that he brandished a gun as he was being escorted out by the security guard.
By agreeing to the deal, T.I. avoided the possibility of spending the rest of his life locked up, but he still had to face nearly a decade behind bars during the most crucial years of his career. For a rapper on the rise, that's like pressing pause on everything: fame, money, momentum, all gone in an instant. But here's the thing. For both Pooh Shiesty and EBGE Dizzle, the streets were only one half of their story. Behind the arrests, the charges, and the chaos, there were also dreams, real dreams, of taking Memphis from the trenches to the global stage. Both men had stories worth telling, not just about violence and beef, but about ambition, pain, and survival. Understanding their journey, how they built their names, the obstacles they faced, and the influence they carried, helps explain why this feud hits so hard. Their music isn't just entertainment, it's a reflection of the struggle that shaped them. That's why, even with one artist behind bars and the other facing blackballing, their names still ring loud. Because in Memphis, their conflict isn't just about rap, it's about legacy, loss, and the fight to be remembered. After all the chaos and street drama, it's easy to forget that T.I., or as the world knows him now, Pooh Shiesty, didn't come from privilege or luck. His story is one of pure hustle, grind, and timing. Born Trell, Donald Williams Jr. on November 8, 1999, in Memphis, Tennessee, he grew up in the Cane Creek Apartments on the South Side, one of the city's toughest environments. For a while, he even relocated to Pflugerville, Texas, before coming back to Memphis to finish high school through summer school. That decision to return home would shape the rest of his life.
I hope that's not true.
Well, there was no gun or shell casings found at this.
Music became his escape. and eventually his weapon. By 18, Shiesty was already focused on building his name the independent way. No label, no budget, just a camera, a mic, and a vision. He started dropping self-shot videos on YouTube, and those clips started racking up millions of views before he ever got near a major label. Fans were drawn to his raw energy and street realism, a style that wasn't manufactured, but lived. The story behind his name says it all. The Pooh came from his mom. She used to call him Mr. Pooh while he was still in her womb, and the nickname stuck. The Shiesty part came later, reflecting how people in his hood viewed him, someone you didn't want to cross, someone with a reputation that matched his lyrics. Together, it became the perfect name for his menacing Memphis street persona. By 2019, the world was starting to catch on. His debut single, Hell Night, featuring Big 30, hit streaming platforms on March 15, 2019. And when the music video dropped in early 2020, it exploded, pulling in over 6 million views. Shiesty kept his foot on the gas, following up with Shiesty's Summer in August, Chopper Talk with Big 30 later that month, and Day One in November. Each release sharpened his sound and expanded his following, turning an unknown kid from Cane Creek into a certified force out of Memphis. One hit, one headline, one block at a time. As Pooh Shiesty kept releasing bangers, his name spread beyond Memphis block by block. His raw, aggressive delivery and brutally honest street stories made him stand out in a crowded scene. Fans didn't just like his music, they believed him. He had that rare mix of authenticity and confidence that couldn't be faked, and it made people pay attention.
Pooh Shiesty has pleaded guilty to one charge in his federal case. That means he's no longer facing a possible life sentence. So this resulted in prosecutors agreeing to suggest no more than a 97-month prison sentence.
Then came the moment that changed everything. The kind of story that sounds like an urban legend, but is completely real. Out of nowhere, Gucci Mane, the godfather of trap music himself, slid into Pooh's Instagram DMs. Gucci told him straight up that his track Mane Slime had caught his ear, that it had something special. What followed was wild. A 6-hour FaceTime call in the middle of the night between two men who barely knew each other, chopping it up about life, music, and vision.
One charge that he is pleading guilty for is conspiracy to possess a firearm and furtherance of violent and drug trafficking crimes.
That conversation wasn't about contracts. It was about chemistry. Gucci didn't see Pooh Shiesty as just another artist. He saw potential, something raw that he could help refine. Not long after that call, Shiesty officially signed to 1017 Records, Gucci's powerhouse label under Atlantic Records, and that deal dropped in April 2020, right in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. Because of lockdowns, everything had to be handled remotely, but that didn't stop the excitement. It was huge news, and keeping it secret for even a week was nearly impossible. For a young rapper who'd been grinding for years on YouTube and in the streets, this was the dream come true. His golden ticket out of the trenches.
In the womb, I was still in the belly. She rubbed Mr. Pooh. And it went from there, whole neighborhood, Mr. Pooh, from my family.
But while Pooh Shiesty's rise felt cinematic, calculated, polished, and industry-backed, EBGE Grizzle's path couldn't have been more different. He didn't come up with a marketing plan or label push. He came straight from the gutters of Memphis, carving his lane through raw emotion and pain.
Me in the bed, middle of the night, one day, he texted me on Instagram.
Did you believe it or did you think it was a lie?
I couldn't believe this shit.
How old were you then? Because you're only 20 now, right?
Yeah, I'm 21 now. I was 20.
Okay. Oh, that was last year?
Yeah.
So he just sent you a DM?
Yeah, he texted me, he said, "What's up, home?" I couldn't believe it. I grabbed my phone, get up.
Born Eric Gills Jr., E. Grizzle carried his purpose in his name. EBG stands for Everybody Bleeds Gorilla. But for him, it was more than a slogan or a clique. It was personal. The name came from his little brother, who tragically passed away in 2015. That loss didn't just inspire him. It became his mission, the heartbeat behind his movement and his music. The name EBGE Dizzle wasn't just branding. It was a memorial, a constant reminder of loss and the fire that fueled everything he did in both music and the streets. For him, EBG carried weight. It stood for his little brother, gone too soon in 2015, and it became the heartbeat behind every move he made. His grind wasn't just about fame, It was about purpose.
Said, this my number, FaceTime me. I FaceTime him right there. We was on FaceTime for like 6 hours.
Word.
It was already like 3 in the morning though.
At first, though, music wasn't the main plan. E-Dizzle didn't see rap as a career. It was just something he did for fun, another way to escape the chaos around him. But as time passed, and that pain from his brother's death settled deeper, something changed. He started to realize that music wasn't just a hobby. It was therapy, a way to tell his truth, to let the world know what really happens in those Memphis streets. It became his outlet, his way to transform trauma into art.
We flew to Atlanta, yep. But it was like I got signed during COVID, so everything locked down and shut down and everything over the phone.
Then came his turning point, the moment that took him from local talk to viral success, his breakout track, Rumors. What's wild is that the song had been sitting on his phone for months, long before the Back in Blood controversy ever popped off. He'd play it for people on the block, just casually letting them hear it, and the feedback was always the same. They loved it. Everyone around him knew he had something special. He just hadn't realized it yet.
Yeah, we ran these after my little brother, he died in 2015. It was a car accident he hit when he was driving the moped and shit. Nigga ain't try to do it. It was an accident. So we put the gang on him type shit. We started E-Bells gang when he died, and we just been pushing it since.
When he finally decided to drop Rumors, the streets went crazy. His raw delivery and unfiltered bars hit like a gut punch because you could feel the truth in every line. While other rappers spent hours polishing verses and perfecting their flows, E-Dizzle's process was different. Spontaneous, emotional, and brutally real. That's why his music connected. It wasn't entertainment. It was documentation.
When he passed and stuff like that, like that's when you picked up the rap, or you know what I'm saying, it kind of took some time for it.
I want to say I had been you know how we just fucking around writing raps and shit. But they didn't just make me take it serious. I only started taking rap serious a year ago, I'd say.
And when the video finally hit YouTube, it exploded. Over 8 million views. For an independent artist straight out the trenches of Memphis, that kind of reaction proved what the streets already knew. E-Dizzle was the real deal. Every bar, every verse, every breath was proof that pain, when channeled right, could turn into power. For an independent artist coming out of Memphis, still figuring out contracts, streaming splits, and how the industry really works, hitting millions of views was massive. It was proof that EBG E-Grizzle's message cut through all the noise. Fans were hungry for something real, and he gave it to them with no filter, no industry polish, just raw truth. And the timing couldn't have been more explosive. Dropping Rumors right when the tension with Pooh Shiesty was boiling over only amplified his voice. It wasn't some calculated marketing move. It was pure timing and authenticity colliding at the perfect moment. He wasn't chasing clout. He was simply telling his truth, and people were finally ready to hear it. That's what made his music stand out in a city where everyone's trying to scream louder than the next man. Then came the twist that nobody saw coming. Snoop Dogg himself reached out.
I had been made the song a year before I dropped the type shit. You know me, I just put my life on beats type shit. I just be real deal going in, writing about shit that is really occurring, what I'm doing type shit, or what I'm seeing. I knew the song was before I ended on my story and shit. And everybody used to be just going crazy about the song, send me this song hard. But I ain't never think it'll be at where it's at now, 8 million views and shit. He DM'd me on the ground one day, just down with you. He wanted me to come out there and get up with him. So we went, me and my kid now, all my whole gang went out to LA, got up with him and shit.
Yeah, the Snoop Dogg. The fact that a West Coast legend, one of hip-hop's biggest icons, personally invited E-Grizzle to Los Angeles and wanted to work with him said everything. That single cosign gave E-Grizzle instant credibility across the industry, unlocking doors that would have stayed locked for most independent Memphis artists. Snoop's validation wasn't just about music, it was about respect. It showed that even through all the chaos, E-Grizzle's story mattered. But here's the catch. Fame doesn't erase history, it magnifies it. Every lyric, every diss, every rumor becomes part of your legacy. And for these two men, this wasn't just a rap beef. It was about what Memphis gives you and what it takes away. Two artists born from the same trenches, molded by the same pain, turned their struggles into power, but at a deadly cost. One ended up behind bars, the other blackballed by the game. Yet both left marks that'll echo through the city forever. Because in Memphis, the line between music and survival ain't thin, it's invisible. And as long as that line keeps fading, the story of T.I. and EBG E-Grizzle is far from finished. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. See you on the next one.